meeting of the 15th of October.
I move.
Hey, Gina.
Both of them.
There's a second. Made and seconded. Additions, corrections, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Finance Committee meeting, October 15th.
That's what I meant by both of them.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I've been grinding corn and I can't hear anything, even with earmuffs on. Okay, so we did them both then. Bills, communications. Are we on tape?
Yes, we are
You want to
live.
explain that?
So we are testing our live streaming for the meeting tonight, in part because Samantha's not here and I would love for her to be able to do minutes when she gets back.
Good idea.
So it's a great time to test.
You are so smart.
She's going to be so mad when she hears me say that. No. However, hi down there. So the laptop down there is currently streaming the meeting, and we're going to give it a go, see how it turns out, and see if we need to make tweaks before we're required to do it in January. So that's what's happening down there. So we'll make sure to remind folks of that if it gets unwieldy.
Did we come up with a safe word yet?
We'll have to do that off camera. Okay, so bills and communications, you have in your,
Move to pay the bills.
great,
Second.
fantastic.
Okay, discussion on bills.
Are there discussions? So you've got the NICEAG bill and you've got a couple of Probst group bills related to the preliminary engineering study for the sewer line.
Any further discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Report of treasurer.
So on the October report, the P&L, you can see that the project fees for Page Trucking were invoiced. That's the project fees line of $83,175.75. That puts us over budget for the year. And so that fee did come in as well. We did receive the payment. And then the other thing down at the bottom is the two Probst bills, and under facilities and equipment other, there's two Probst bills. And then, I guess this is in the wrong line. The two tax bills that we just paid are in that line as well. But we'll probably move that to taxes on property. And then the restricted, if you look on the second page of the P&L, we have a restricted amount of $72,000, and that's the pilot payment from Johnston that is being dispersed. Everything else is pretty, mostly zeros.
Okay. Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on treasurer? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we're moving right along. Unfinished business.
So I've been in touch with, you recall the Sun East project application that came in. This is a solar development. An initial project resolution was done on it a couple months ago. And he has worked his way through the seeker. So he's got a negative declaration. He's moving into permitting now with the town. I did talk to a couple folks down in that area, and it does seem like the community is supportive of the project. So we'd like to get to scheduling the public hearing for this project. He's going to have another public hearing in early January, so he'll be in town for that. And if it works for the board, I'd like to try to schedule it kind of that first couple weeks of January, since he'll be around anyway, and we'll have it right at the town building in Ledyard. So I can get more
Is it
specific on
firehouse?
dates.
Is that the firehouse?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
So Sam, before she left, was trying to get a hold of the clerk, and to get a sense of what the timeframes are, but we'll be reaching out about that once we have some ideas of a few dates that we can schedule that to see when people are available. And I expect that will get ready to move into an authorizing in probably February, March. So,
That only
Just a heads
involves the one time.
yes, just one town for that project, just the town of Ledyard. And so we'll be reaching out about scheduling that once we have a better sense of what days and times are available for it. But wanted to put it on your radar since we'll be reaching out sooner rather than later because we'll need to get a public notice out as well. So that's all on that. Yes? Do you have thoughts on that, Ben? Okay.
Blocking your view of the camera, I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Okay, so any questions or additional, I was hoping to have a couple of dates to give you today and they just didn't come together, so it's an easy agenda item now.
Global?
So this is revisiting the conversation from last month about the engineering firm selection to consult on the seeker for the Global Common project. It's the same set of quotes that we had last time. So open conversation about that. It has been brought to our attention that there could be a potential conflict with CPL in terms of working with a competitor of Global Common, real or perceived conflict. And then the other two are also still on the table, KEMA and CNS companies.
Casey, who brought up the fact that CPL works with it?
Bob Foxon mentioned it. He reached out to me and mentioned that he had heard that that was the case and we were able to confirm it.
I guess you're supposed to tell me to be quiet, Herb.
No.
Well, no, I guess.
Speak right up.
Well, it doesn't reflect well on CPL then that somebody believes that CPL would go and tell a competitor.
I don't necessarily think that they would.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah.
I don't believe they would.
Yeah.
But somebody out there thinking that CPL can't do business with two different firms without divulging what the other firm is doing. I don't think that's the case.
I don't necessarily think that's the case either. I think this is something that engineering firms have to deal with on a
All the
regular
time.
basis.
All the
All the
time.
time. Gotta be all accountants, lawyers, engineering
All
firms,
the time.
Thanks.
bankers, absolutely. Farmers, all the time.
All the time.
What seed did you grow? You know, you're stealing seed. No,
Right.
that's. Herb, you've got something to say.
I would move that we pick CPL.
What was the price range in then, Herb? Is that the, mid?
They're the ones that had not to exceed rather than a specific price.
No.
No.
That's not right.
That was,
CNS had a not.
CNS.
CPL
I'm sorry,
was,
you're right.
CPL was the low bid. We shouldn't talk about
That's
it.
right.
I would second Herb's motion.
For who?
CPL.
Discussion.
If they're, just question, if there's a serious concern and a potential issue of moving forward, not moving the project forward, but from the developer. I know that, is there a secondary backup? I know there was a desire to stick with a New York State firm because we are a New York State agency.
CPL's,
CPL is New York, CNS is New York, KEMA is from Pennsylvania, but has done work in New York, and is familiar with the New York environment for this.
I'm very supportive of the project.
Mhm.
And I would like the project absolutely to go through, but I really am at odds with you recommending one of the firms and him coming in and saying, if you don't pick mine, we're not doing the project. That just makes me anti.
Well, I was thinking if it's really hard to move CPL forward, would CNS be acceptable?
It would be to me.
Well, my question is, okay, if we
He-
vote on this and it goes down, we can have another motion and go with a different firm, correct?
He had a conversation with me the day after the meeting. He had a conversation with you the night of the meeting. He pretty much apologized that he realized that it was handled wrong, and that I suggested that he personally appear at this meeting tonight. And my next statement is I'm gonna have to abstain because we could end up being part of the project. He liked the firm that he wants because he's worked with them before and they have the expertise and the kind of project that he's gonna do. And again, I asked him to appear personally to state his case.
Do you think he's coming or just?
No.
Now I'm starting to wonder
Bob.
if I
What's
was
his name?
supposed to call
We can
him.
leave this till the last thing if you want to and see if he comes.
You know, let's table.
Yeah,
it to
I'm
the end.
wondering if I was supposed to call him. I
Let's-
don't think we had
Yes, let's
arranged
put it
that,
off
but-
till the end of the meeting.
We're pretty close to it.
I know.
Okay.
Larry?
Okay, we can just move
You
on.
wanna call him, because you could just put him on the phone.
Yeah, let me just shoot him a text message and see if he wants to.
You can put him on Skype.
Yeah.
It's busy.
Oh, you got to write the minutes down, that's all.
Okay, you want to just hold that to the end then?
Yeah.
All right, we.
A lot of table space on that picture.
It's right up here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll come back to this.
Staff update.
I also have an executive session for afterwards as well.
Okay.
The Aurelia sewer line, the meters, the flow meters for the preliminary engineering study that Probst is working with us on now are in the ground. They've been in the ground since the beginning of November. And so they should be coming up towards the end of the month. They are functional, they are pulling data, and we should be able to get all that data to the Probst group early in December to finalize that report. And so that is moving forward, and that will, again, dictate the next step in the process, which is going to DEC, which will then dictate
So
EDA.
we should know that by our December meeting.
We won't probably have an answer from DEC by the December meeting, but the flow metering should be done and the engineering report should be close to done, if not completed, unless something complicated happens in the meantime. So that is moving along. Probst has been great about keeping that on track and keeping all the players involved. And
Not to interrupt, but can I interrupt?
yeah, please.
So it would be nice, so at the December meeting, if we kind of had some preliminary numbers from them and how they relate to what they the numbers that they projected or whatever, see if we're actually close and in realistic time.
In terms of the flow capacity of the
Well,
water plant.
I thought there was, I thought they made, I thought they told us numbers that they thought it was, the flow was at.
Mhm.
And it would be nice to kind of verify, see how close they were to those numbers and what they're, I know they wouldn't be, probably wouldn't be, you know, as you would say, audited numbers, but they would probably be pretty reasonable. It would be nice to at least see that in December.
I agree.
How long did you think the DEC was on the table?
It depends.
Well, we had 2 time frames, right?
So the DEC's timeline is what the
And what is
fluctuating piece is.
What is DEC actually going to approve or disapprove?
So they're going to look at the capacity of the conveyance system and the capacity of the water plant to make sure that
Or
the sewer plant or the water treatment plant, to ensure that the additional flow coming from this line won't cause additional overflows. But there's no combined sewers along this line, which is helpful. And then to ensure that it will not push the treatment plant over its permitting. So they're permitted for a certain level of
So
treatment, and they
even
wanna
if
make
we
sure that
don't
it's not
have
gonna-
their permit, we should know with the numbers whether there's any question there that they would use as an objection.
We'll hopefully have an idea of if it's close or if there's plenty of capacity there. I'm hoping we'll at least know that by the next meeting.
Okay, that would be good.
We hope not. But I don't think we'll have an answer from them by the next meeting by any stretch. But that is all underway and moving along. There's another solar project that is in the process of submitting an application. They submitted a preliminary application. We had some back and forth, and they're going to submit a new draft shortly. So you will probably see that at the December meeting. It's Duke Energy, and they are. It's a pretty small scale compared to some of the other solar developments we're seeing. So they're proposing a slightly lower payment. So that's something that we're going to have to really look at closely in their performas and make sure that it's appropriate for the size of the array that they're proposing. They've also been in conversations with the town and have negotiated a payment directly to the town. That's like a host community payment. And so that is also impacting what they say they can do in a pilot agreement. And so that,
Which town, what area?
that is, I want to say, no, I can't remember. I can look. I know. There's so many things going on in here right now. I'm having a hard time.
And you're texting too.
I'm like texting. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, but that should be coming forward next month. It's a pretty typical project. I think he had a little harder time with the town than Mike Beckner and Sun East did. I think there's a little bit more conversation, a little more getting people comfortable. Another one, there's also a development in Moravia that's going through some feasibility right now. They're looking at the feasibility of their own, of an array in the Moravia area. And so I've had an initial conversation with him, but they're not ready to put in an application until their feasibility study is done. So these are winding up. And you'll probably see at least 3 to 4 in the next year of these types of projects.
Tracy, when these projects come to you, how much work do you and your staff have to do?
It's pretty similar to other types of projects that we do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out whether it's putting more burden on you. Are they all coming in fairly well? We've got 2. almost two?
Mhm.
Well prepared or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there might be a little back and forth, but it's probably less than we would, especially with the companies that have worked with other IDAs.
Okay.
It's probably actually a little less work than some of the other projects where we're walking someone
Right.
through the application process. And so I don't know that I would say it's any more work. I got word from Justin that there might be a little bit of complication when there's an ag district involved, but it sounds like he's working through that guidance now, and that NYSERDA might be doing some of that to relieve it for IDAs, because ag districts are ag districts, not solar districts. And certain types of development need special approvals. But it sounds like there's some overlap there so that NYSERDA can do it on their side and relieve the IDA from having to do that work. So I'm still waiting for some additional guidance from him on how that's going to work, but there may be an additional just approval or form that needs to go into the
Does the
process.
owner have to pay back the,
That's one of the
do
things
they have
that
to recapture
is,
the
yeah, that's one of
tax
the,
abatement that he got?
Mhm. That's one of the things that complicates it a little bit, is because you're taking it out of ag use.
Yeah, but then,
There could be
then the
some
landowner's
financial penalties.
liable to the penalty for that.
Mhm. Yeah, and more or less, that's gonna be
Never collected, but
part,
Right.
potential.
yeah, it is a potential, and it's something that is really generally handled within the lease between the developer and the property owner, where if there is going to be some sort of a penalty or repayment, that would be accounted for in the lease as opposed to as part of the pilot process. But it is something that we want to make sure that anyone in that
Surprised the state
situation.
doesn't cover it right under the ag laws.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, everything else is,
yeah, that's right.
you know, because I mean, it's not that much of a stretch to say it's a, you know, you're harvesting the sun, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's kind of a crop
yeah,
in a way, yeah.
Scipio. Scipio is due.
Scipio?
Yes.
So Scipio's not fighting it, or they are fighting it? Are they
They've
okay with it now?
been talking for quite some time. Like, Bob has been talking, or the developer has been talking with them for a while, just kind of figuring out how to move forward with the project. And it sounds like they're at a point now where they're kind of ready to start moving through the process.
And how is NICEAG in relation to this? Because they ultimately have to go to NICEAG and have them get on the line.
Yeah, they've got to interconnect with NYSEG
Right. And
generally.
how is, any word on how NICEAG has been?
I mean, this is happening all over the state already. So
I
this is
thought he
something that's
mentioned
not.
that it went pretty smoothly. Didn't he mention that to us?
Yeah, I think that it's something that they've kind of gotten used to, because it's been happening for a few years now. It's just starting to hit Cuba County now.
they got some big ones up Rochester, right?
Yeah,
And up north,
NICEAG wouldn't be against it anyway. They still want to get all their money for.
for transmission and delivery.
Yes,
And,
they have rules that they can't have any competition.
You know,
so,
when
and I mean,
we
there's
did the
state law around
digester on
this.
Sun and Water,
Yes.
we had nothing but absolute grief.
From NICEAG.
Oh, yeah, the interconnect, the charges, it was months negotiating it.
They weren't against it, they just wanted to charge it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
do the interconnect and everything,
Yeah.
and the charges, the fees.
Yes.
You just don't walk in and plug it in. They want a piece of it. In the
But I
minute,
guess that's what I meant.
In the minute-
They're not going to oppose that or oppose yours, they just want, they just.
it took months to
Just
negotiate
get
it
their
out.
hand out.
Oh, yeah,
But I think the state, because I put the solar panels in my house, and I think the PSC's cleared the line for all that.
Yeah.
The governor's pushing it.
Yeah, so state law kind of is forcing the issue. So it's cooperate or
Yeah. because
or what?
really, it's funny because they had a big thing on the Californians are pushing it heavily. And the solar, you really only get from like 8 to 4 in the afternoon. And the peak power needs are actually from 4 to 8 at night. So the solar doesn't really help unless you got batteries. and none of these things have batteries. So it's kind of interesting.
So,
I've looked at both wind and solar. Best we could get was like 25% of the use. Because there's a certain amount, and then once you get there, that, and it was 250,000+.
Yeah, the wind, you have to have 14 miles average.
Yeah.
Which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, well, there's a graph thing that
Yeah.
they tell you how much wind you get in your area.
Yeah.
Even though I think our place gets a lot, it just,
But it's not steady.
yeah. I think until they get the batteries part of it perfected, it's gonna be a struggle in New York.
And the solar, you don't have to, this
The
is what
sun don't
Germany
ever
does.
shine.
Yeah, it's just, especially up here.
I store the batteries, at the market. Cut down on our peak demand big time.
Really, the only answer is nuclear.
Yeah, okay.
It's the truth, just don't say it out loud.
Yeah, well, nobody wants,
Yeah, nobody wants to hear it. Okay.
okay, so, and the
That,
only other update is that we did hire a person to replace Maureen. She is starting next Monday.
Which I,
Danielle, who was on the first day. Were you there the first
Oh,
day or the
no,
second
I
day? She was there on the first day of interviews, and her background is in workforce development, but she's really excited to expand into economic development. I have her starting Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving week so that I can send her to training the following week. So she'll be in the office a couple days next week, and then she'll be at training most of the following week. And then it'll be a lot of the internal introducing her to people. So we'll make sure that she comes to the December meeting of this group.
Where is
And
she from?
Marcellus.
she grew up in Auburn, but she currently lives in Marcellus. Her husband owns a small business that works a lot in Cuba County as well, and she actually has some relationships with Cuba County employers through her workforce development work. So, but she's a very strategic thinker and a researcher. She likes to be a subject matter expert. So, I'm looking forward to getting her on board and getting her started and
Will Maureen
giving
work
her
with
the
her?
work. Right? I'm ready to have someone
Will
do it.
Maureen work with her? So
Yeah, so
Good.
Maureen, I did talk to Maureen a little bit, and I think there's an opportunity for her to come and just at least give her an introduction. And then I think as she gets into the role, there will be some opportunities for some cross-training and some joint site visits to get familiar with the players and the programs, in addition to spending some time with Derek here in the office and some of the different stakeholders in the community that are resource partners. So we're going to get her meeting a lot of people for a few weeks there. And then, so I'm excited.
good.
We'll be fully staffed again. Whatever.
what was her previous employment?
So she has been in workforce development for a number of years. She was OCC most recently, and she had been at Center State before that. And prior to that, she helped kind of bring a grassroots organization around servicing underemployed communities in Syracuse. So she's done some pretty interesting things in terms of just like bringing stakeholders together and creating new programming and responding to employer needs very quickly and accomplishing what seemed like insurmountable tasks. Some of the examples that she gave, which were backed up by her references, were pretty incredible, of just getting, a ton of people to a new employment site in an area where there are no people and getting them trained up and accessible to a different area. So I'm excited to have her on board and have her start next week, and you guys will meet her in December. So, that's over. And then I did hear back from Bob, and we can call him anytime to, if you want to continue the conversation about the engineering firm. I can get him on the line.
Good question.
Sorry, I was late. I made a 3:15 hearing that didn't get called for 4 in my office. Yeah, I texted Tracy at 3:45.
Do we-
She's good.
do we have
Get out
people
of the
over here?
ticket. No, it's workers' comp.
Hi Bob, it's Tracy and the CCIDA board.
Oh, hi.
So, sorry for the confusion. I couldn't remember if we had agreed that you were gonna call in or not, but.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, we got Bob on the phone.
Yes.
here you
How come I can't?
are. Nice.
Who is?
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But he-
Okay.
He goes to Florida a
2 or 3
lot.
months in Florida.
Okay, Bob's on the phone.
So we wanted to come back to the engineering firms for the seeker process. Do you want me to, what do you want? Do you want me to kind of recap what we
Yes.
talked about? Okay, so there's obviously the 3 firms. The conversation that has been had so far, Bob, I did mention the concern that you had about CPL and them working with another company in your line of work. And and we also, talked about the desire to use a New York State firm as a New York State entity. And I guess one question is, being that engineering firms are, consistently working with multiple companies from the same industry, the question is around that kind of perceived conflict. Is there really a conflict there or not, with the professionality of a firm and what their responsibilities are in terms of confidentiality and, conversations with clients. So I don't know if you wanted to talk about that concern at all.
Tracy, are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, yeah, that was, something that, it was brought to my attention that, the, firm that, you had, been discussing, is, working with one of our competitors. And that was I guess it was a concern for us.
Can you be more specific, Bob, why that's a concern, given what Tracy just said about engineering firms working with multiple clients at any given time?
Well, yeah, it's not just working with multiple clients, but I know for a fact that they've been calling on carriers that are committed to us, trying to solicit their business, and so it's more than just the fact that they're working with them. They're actively competing with us and trying to take customers that we're working with.
I'm sorry, who's competing? The engineering firm is competing with you?
No, they're clients.
Okay, but how does that make the leap to the engineering firm maybe sharing information about your project to your competitor?
Oh, well, I guess my worry would be that there'd be some information that about our project that could be shared with a competitor that I wouldn't want to have shared.
I mean, has that been your experience with engineers in the past, that they'll share information with other clients?
Oh, I don't really know, Tracy. I'm not sure if they would or wouldn't. It's just something that we were worried about.
Yeah, because I guess my thought is that this kind of thing happens all the time, where, a firm might have multiple clients in the same industry, and there's typically a certain level of confidentiality included in those agreements, and that it would be poor practice for an engineer to share that type of information. But Rick, did you have a thought on this?
Well, in law, we call that a Chinese wall. In other words, the the engineering firm could commit in writing that whoever would be working for us on this project, the CCIDA, does not share, and it's totally isolated from whatever other engineers are working on the quote competitor, close quote.
Would some sort of an agreement like that be acceptable to you, Bob?
I guess I think one question would be, I don't know what the size of the staff is that is really working on these kinds of projects. I guess we have to ask that question.
Why would it matter?
Oh, there's only one person.
Right, but so and what you're talking about, is it by person, or would it have to be two separate individuals working on the two projects, or would it just have to be a clear delineation of confidentiality between the two projects?
Well, in my example, it's two different
Okay.
people with whatever staff they're utilizing.
So Bob, let me just ask a follow-up on that. You had a suggestion to use the KEMA firm. Would it be possible that if we were to hire them, that they would also be working with another solar power company at the same time? And would you have those same concerns about that firm?
It really wouldn't be possible if they'd be working with another firm like us. If I'm following the question, would they be working with another renewable gas company? Not anything that close. There's only a few firms that are kind of, and I'm aware of 2 or 3 that are active in this particular county, and they happen to be working with one of them. They meaning, was it ICF? I got the acronym.
I'm sorry, biogas. I meant biogas instead of solar. Okay.
Sorry, we just had a long conversation about solar.
Yeah.
Is there any other, excuse me, any other discussions? At this point, we have a motion on the floor to appoint.
Do we want to so I guess if we want to do something like what Rick is talking about, do we want to confirm that they have the staffing to do that, or make that?
So do you want to?
Is this firm indicated a concern of a conflict, or is this the first we're hearing of them?
So
This is the first we've heard.
Bob had mentioned to me
Okay.
that this is a concern.
But the firm itself
The
has
firm
not
did not
mentioned.
express a concern.
Ben?
They confirmed that they're working with the other firm, but they did not seem to think that was an issue.
Ben?
Okay,
Personally, I think we should vote, and if the CPL gets it, then look and see if they can do that. My last meeting, I voted for CPL, or I was going to vote for CPL. Since then, I did a little bit of research myself, and this is definitely not their forte. They're really big in school, architect work and engineering work. And the people I talked to at CPL didn't even know anything about this area of work for them. And so I will not be voting for them today.
What about the other firms? Did you look into those?
Well, I've done a lot of work with CNS engineers and have a lot of faith in them. But I've done a lot of work with CPL also, so. And I have a lot of faith in them in their strong areas.
It's just they don't have the expertise in this field.
Well, they don't have the staff that.
So you're thinking that perhaps they just don't have, like, even though they're working with another firm of this nature, they might not have the staff to.
Yeah, it's just like
actually
I would
create
not
this
recommend
information.
CNS engineers to be an architect for a building.
Mhm.
Even though they have architects.
But for something
Yeah,
like this.
I'm not this Bob. I'm not sure who's speaking there, but I would agree with what you're saying about that. I think CPL is an excellent firm from what I could tell, but I just don't, at least from their website, it seems like that's not really their focus. CNS is a really good firm. They've done a lot of this kind of work. You know, I know of them from other stuff we've done.
So would
My
that be,
understanding was their price was a lot more, so that was the other issue.
Well, the pricing is just set up different. They're all
yeah,
time
so-
and material, I believe.
yeah, it's a not to exceed, and, I mean, for what that is. But is that, I mean, would you be comfortable with CNS, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I would be, yes. I mean, I thought you had said that their price was really, not competitive, so that was why I thought they were kind of off the table.
I mean, so they were not the low bid, they were further, they were not as close as the other two. I mean, we can't get into the details at this time of the pricing structures, but,
Well, this is
this is a similar situation of a not to exceed number.
this is also not a low bid type of
Right.
contract, so
No,
you
it's
could
not.
negotiate with them also.
So I think where we are is that there is a strong desire to hire a New York State firm. And,
Oh, Kurt's got a motion.
you know, so if there's not a feeling that CPL is the right choice, that puts CNS, or we have to go out and find some additional quotes.
I'd like to call a question on the CPL.
Okay.
Motion on the floor.
Okay,
So
I don't think we need to vote on the question right then.
do,
Yeah,
No, on the resolution, we don't need to call a vote to have the question.
well, there's
Okay,
a
I'll-
motion on the floor and there's
Yep.
a second, unless somebody wants to pull it.
No, we're good. Okay, roll call vote. What firm, we're back to
I don't know.
CPL.
CPL.
So there's a motion earlier, Bob. So we're just gonna clear that out real quick. Herb,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
John.
No.
Ben,
No.
Andy,
No.
Ray,
Abstain,
abstain.
fails.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that one failed. I
Plan
can't,
B.
who was the,
on the table?
I'll make a motion.
I
for
can't remember
CNS.
who.
Don't be pushy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Was that Ben and?
I would also,
Andy?
if this passes, I would probably communicate with CNS and try to get them
You come to,
kind of a realistic a price that, you know, they should be able to give you a ballpark price, and we all understand it's time and material in the end, but
Maybe your motion will be subject to the approval of Tracy with CNS.
I'll second that.
Not to exceed.
Yeah, that's my motion.
Okay,
Give her the flexibility.
You're just second.
All right, it's his motion.
Gives her
Oh,
the
it went the other way?
I
Gives her the
thought-
power to negotiate, but sure.
I made the
oh my
motion.
God, this
He
is,
made- Ben made the
Yeah,
motion.
Ben made the motion,
And Andy
Andy
seconded.
seconded.
Further,
The other one's better than the minutes, I gotta say.
further discussion. Roll call vote. When you get there.
Okay. Exec director, cost discussion. Okey dokey. So Herb.
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Ray.
Abstain.
I'm sorry, I should be using last names.
Terry,
You messed me up, it wasn't alphabetized.
thank you, Rob. Thank you, Bob.
Hey,
So.
thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate your help.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
I'll-
much.
I'll be in touch after I talk to them to make sure that things align correctly. Okay,
Okay, great, thank you.
thank you. Okay, that's done. Thanks, guys. We'll get this moving.
New business.
New business.
Resolution ratifying prior adopted policies, standards, procedures.
So all of the policies have been through committee. I believe a whole package of them were included online, but we didn't print them all. So this is a standard resolution. We usually do it at the annual meeting, but we got it done early this year. Hooray! Samantha was organized. So all the committees have
Yes, she is.
have
She
seen
is.
all of these, or the policies have been through the committee. There were no recommended changes to any of the policies, so this would just be restating the policies as previously as adopted.
Motion,
So moved.
second,
I'll second.
discussion, questions,
Can we do roll call?
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Upcoming events, we have a executive session at the end, so
Yes.
bear with us.
So upcoming events, there is some training coming up. They're currently in the midst of another Simple Steps to Starting Your Business seminar. It started last Saturday. The second course is this Saturday. This is working with entrepreneurs on talking about business planning and marketing and what it takes to actually own a business, not just be good at what
How many people
Your
did you have
craft
signed up
is-
for?
I don't know. I was hoping to have that answer and I forgot to ask. I
Yeah,
heard it was
I'm
good
curious.
attendance,
Yeah.
though. It is typically well attended,
Mhm.
and there have been some nice businesses that have come out of this program in the past. So we're excited to continue doing it, and they've changed the format a little bit this year. They have it in 2 longer sessions on a Saturday instead of 4 shorter sessions on a weekday evening. So they just hit a different crowd this time around and a different group of people that are
That's great.
weren't able to do evening options. And so I do think that, well, I'll have more information on it next time because I didn't find out today. But that's going on right now. And then the Chamber Holiday Party is coming up on December 5th. All of you are welcome to attend that. It is open to Chamber members for free, and you are all a Chamber member. So if you'd like to attend there, you can either let me know or there is a registration online if you'd like to attend that. It's a nice event. It's an evening event. There's a couple of cash bars, there's food, free food, and just, it's a nice, some of our members use it as a holiday party for their office, like our smaller members will use it as a holiday party for their office, and it's just, it's more fun than sitting around a table with 5 people. So.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
You can make it fun.
So it's just, it's a nice event. People like it. It's at the Point. It's been there for a few years, so it's a nice little venue. We typically have over 100 people come in throughout the evening, so.
Oh,
it's-
really?
Yeah, it's a nice event.
Good standard.
And that's it
Sounds
for
like not,
upcoming
no one's
events.
attended here.
Is it RSVP or?
Yeah, we ask people to sign up. So like I said, you can either let me know or there's a registration online. We also have a couple of educational seminars coming up in December and January about taxes. So the December one is just what are the updates in this year's tax season? What do you, as a small business or as a business, do you need to be watching for in your taxes? And then the one in January is more of actually getting it done. Chris Belfi, who's a productivity coach, is coming in to do a seminar about actually getting organized and, breaking things down into smaller steps so it's not as onerous of a process for you. So it's not as scary. So you wait until the last minute to do it and then you're filing extensions and how to avoid that situation that we've all been in. So that'll be fun in January as well. And I think that's it from an event standpoint. The economic forecast luncheon this year, just kidding, not done. We haven't opened registration yet, but it's going to be January 16th. That's CCIDA's only luncheon of the year, and the speaker this year will be from the Buffalo Federal Reserve. So that'll be a cool. I'm going to have to make my presentation less data-y, because listening to 2 different people talk about data for 2 hours is too much. So I'm going to try to mix my part up a little bit so it's not too overwhelming.
Last year's speaker was really
Yeah, he was good.
better than I would have thought for the.
Yeah. So as it turns out, the Buffalo Federal Reserve has a whole speaker circuit. Like they just have their people that they put into, you can fill out a form to request a speaker. It's actually quite interesting how that works. So if you ever need a Federal Reserve speaker, you can just go online and ask for one. They do have blackout dates though. So that's coming up as well, January 16th. We'll keep you in the loop on that as registration opens. And now I think I'm done with the events. I do have an executive session for matters involving proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property.
John?
A move? Oh, yeah, I was just waiting, but I'll move.
Second. You're moving what?
Doing exact.
But before we do, I asked Ray if there's any members of this board. that's
Oh,
up for
sorry, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any members up this year for reappointment?
Yes. There are every year.
I couldn't remember if it was every year or every other year.
So half is,
Half and half.
it's half and half, 4 and 3.
2-year appointments.
Yes.
Gina and I was last year, so it's everybody.
So we're
but
safe
us.
this year.
Oh, no, not that again.
Well, no, we should be on a 3-4 now instead of
But
a,
they changed that.
they did. So it's probably the two of you and Ben.
Oh,
Then. If it's, oh no,
Things
the two of
change.
you were done last year. So it's probably John, Andy, Ray, and Paul.
Ben's here by appointment from the legislature, right?
Yeah, that's done every 2 years too.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. So it must be the 4 of you that are the 4 group.
There's 2-year appointments and the other really 5.
5 and 2,
No, it's 4 and 3.
4 and 3, okay.
So
Who's with us?
Ben.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought I'd be replaced last year and I didn't.
somebody dropped the ball on that one.
Well.
So
Interesting.
we never,
I would move that we recommend the
It's the only
reappointment.
thing they'll let me do.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Hello?
Motion, you got a second that you're not being reappointed.
I don't have to.
Second.
I need a second, okay. Any discussion? Everyone willing to serve again?
All right.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank
Okay.
you.
so there had been a motion to go into executive session by
Yep.
John and Andy.
the only, last thing I'll say is I attended the chamber dinner event and it was very well attended and very well done. And so there's my report. All in favor of executive session?
Aye.
Opposed? We're there.
55.
Uh,